Hello, and welcome to part 4 in this cribbage tutorial series. In this video, we're going to discuss some basic cribbage strategy. And just like we have done in parts 1, 2, and 3, we will be dividing this video up in parts as well. The first one will be what cards should you put in the crib, both as the opponent as well as the dealer. Next, what should the opponent lead with? Third, what should the dealer respond with? And finally, we'll go over some general pegging strategies as well. So let's begin. What cards should you put in the crib? If you're the opponent, your job is to play defensively. Do not put in cards that match or any fives. In fact, it's probably best to avoid any 10 value cards as well, which would be your 10, jack, queen, or king. Also, to avoid any potential runs, avoid placing cards in the crib that are close numerically. It's probably best to consider the cards that you're putting in the crib junk cards. If you place any 5s in there, your opponent can score several 15s. 10s, well, a lot of times the dealer likes to put 10 cards in the crib, so you want to avoid the chance of any 15s as well, or any pairs. So these are just general tips that might help. Okay? Let's consider some things that you can place in a crib in tiers. So any 5s that you have are like platinum. They're very easy to score 15s with, so that's definitely something to consider. 10 value cards are like gold. You're more likely to score pairs with these, and if you're lucky and a 5 is in there, or as a starter card, 15s. Next, cards that add up to 5 are silver. They're not as good as 10 value cards or 5s, but you still may be able to get a 15 out of them if you're lucky. Finally, cards that pair are like bronze, because you're using 2 cards to get to a pair, and that's only 2 points. You can also hope for a run by putting in cards that are close to each other numerically. If your opponent follows the don't put 10 value cards in the crib, that increases the chances of you hitting a run during your crib phase. Next, what should the opponent lead with when the pegging phase begins? Do not lead with something that can easily score for the dealer, so no 5s and avoid a 10 valued card if you can. If you think you can bait the dealer, you can try to finesse a run or a 15 by what you play first. It's best to save your lower valued cards until the round is nearly over in case the dealer tries to set you with a go. You can turn that around and score 2 points for a 31 instead of 1 point for a go. Watch how the dealer responds to your play for a bit. If you have cards that are close together numerically, you may be able to trick the dealer into giving you a run so long as the value on the table is low enough. Next question. What should the dealer respond with? If the opponent leads with something that you can score with, of course, go for the points. If the table value is low and you think a run can be extended, do not be afraid to give your opponent the next number in sequence. If they're scoring 3 for a run of 3, but you score 4 with a run of 4, that's good. If you're stuck with higher valued cards, watch the table value closely. It's very easy to be stuck. Not only would that give the opponent at least 1 point for go, but they can also possibly set up a pair or run that you cannot contest. On the other hand, If you have multiple low valued cards, which would be an ace to a 4, you can be less worried about being shut down. Feel free to get that table value up quickly. And finally, in this series, let's discuss general pegging strategies. First, unless you can further extend a run, try to avoid playing cards one above or below what the other player just played. Similarly, try to avoid playing cards two above or below in case the other player can fill in the gap and score a run. If you have low value cards and a table value is 15 plus, do not be afraid to play a card value of 10. You could possibly set your opponent, and you can play your lower valued cards as you'd like. Remember that in the show phase, pairs and runs do not have to be sequential in order played, so do not worry about playing your cards numerically or in a match during the pegging phase. 5. Unless you can score with them right away, save aces until near the end of the round. You can turn some go situations into a 31 in your favor. Try to avoid setting the table value to 21 or 26. Since there are 16 cards that can turn a 21 into a 31, and 4 that can turn a 26 into 31, not to mention that those can also score in other ways too, it's best to watch out for those values. Look at the score frequently. If you are winning and the other player is a dealer, preventing them from scoring as much as you can in this phase may make all the difference. Many cribbage games are determined by about 5 points or so, so even if you may lose some scoring opportunities yourself, remember that you're going to be dealer in the next deal. 8. If you cannot get the table value to 15, get past that number as quickly as you can so your opponent can't get there either. One possible strategy is known as a magic 11. If your opponent only plays cards that total 10, or I should say that are value of 10, your two cards will get you to 31. So for example, if the opponent plays a king, you play a 5, score 15 for 2 points. Your opponent plays a queen, the value is now 25, and you can steal that 31 with a 6. Finally, and this is more of a general rule, try not to hold your cards numerically in this phase. Your opponent can watch your hand to determine if the other cards that you have are higher or lower than the one you just played, if they're numerical. So I hope these tips and strategies are helpful. Best of luck in the real thing.